Okay, so thank you so much for joining us today. We are live today in Sixes, Oregon at Seaview Cranberries. My name is Brittany and I'll be the moderator today. Before we start, I'm just going to review a few logistics to make sure everyone has a great experience. So everyone is muted and everyone will remain muted throughout the whole tour so everyone can hear our tour guide clearly. If you have questions, please send them in the chat to either everyone or directly to the person labeled Oregon AITC. They will pass questions on to me. And it is now my pleasure to introduce our tour guide and host for today's virtual field trip, Patrick. Take it away, Patrick.
Hey, how's it going?
It's going good.
Bear with me, I'm kind of new to this. So my name is Patrick McKenzie. Our family started harvesting cranberries in the Sixes area back in about the 1960s. Today, my dad owns about 38 acres of cranberry bogs that we harvest once a year in September, October timeframe. We get about 1.1 to 1.2 million pounds every year. It takes us about 2 years to harvest, or no, I'm sorry, 2 weeks to harvest. And it's a family effort. Me, my fiance, my dad, my sister, brother-in-law. We all do it. Depending on the weather, sometimes it's nice, sometimes it's not so nice. But I'm not really sure. Do we have questions at all?
Yeah, we have a few that were emailed into us ahead of time. So where do cranberries grow?
So they grow in, and she might be able to turn around and show you, but they grow in these bogs, and usually they're not full of water. We fill them about 2 to 3 feet of water to harvest them. But they just grow in these in the bogs, and they grow. Oregon produces some, Washington produces, and Wisconsin is the nation's #1 producer.
And why are cranberries grown in water?
Why do they grow in water?
Yeah.
They don't actually grow in water. A lot of people think that. They grow, we just harvest them in water. And the reason we do that is because the cranberries actually have they're hollow inside, so they float on top of the water, as you can see, and it makes it a lot easier to harvest.
What animals or pests does your farm have to worry about?
We get deer, elk. It's mostly bugs that we have is the main thing that we have to worry about. Deer and elk, they eat cranberries, but it's nothing to really worry about. We have one bug, it's called a fireworm, and it'll make a little web around the flower and kill it. So we have to deal with those. But there's not too many animals or insects that really bug us here.
So what is that ring in the water behind, or that is on the video right now?
So that is how we corral the cranberries. So they're normally just sitting. Once they get beat off the vine, they'll just kind of float down to one side. And then we use this big ring to corral them up and concentrate them, so it's easier for us to get them on the truck.
And why are they raking them?
So actually, you can't see it, but there's a box in here that's sucking them all the way up and putting them into the truck. So we push them over to where the whirlpool is, and it sucks them up into the truck so we can deliver them.
How many cranberries will fit in a truck?
It'll hold about 16,000 pounds, so about 5 million cranberries.
How do you package the cranberries?
There's lots of different ways to do it. These ones are going to go to a local cleaning plant, and they'll just get put in big 1,200-pound boxes and then shipped to China and South Korea, Australia, New Zealand, places like that.
Do the bad cranberries sink?
Nope, they all float actually. Even the rotten ones float just as well as the good ones.
Does the water help keep them fresh?
No, the water is mostly just here to help us harvest. Just makes it easier for us, really, if anything.
And then do you guys use a water reel?
I'm not sure what that is exactly. A water reel?
I'm thinking they're talking about the machine that floats in the water.
Oh, a beater. Yeah. Yep. It's not here right now, but that's how these berries get off the vine. We flood the bog, and then my dad comes in with the beater, and it goes along and it hits the berries off the vine, and then they'll float to the surface, just like this, to make so we can harvest.
And what climate do cranberries grow well in?
A cool, it can't get too hot. Mostly in Wisconsin, they have to harvest early because it snows. So they can grow in just a cool, wet environment, perfect here in the Pacific Northwest.
Can we buy Oregon cranberries in stores here?
Yeah, there are some people that sell fresh cranberries. I know you can buy them in Bandon. It's not something you're gonna see just like a bin of at the store. It's mostly, you're probably gonna see just juice and craisins. So you're probably actually be kind of hard to find locally raised cranberries throughout all of Oregon. You'll find them around just these parts though.
And how many cranberries do you harvest in one day?
The most we've ever harvested is about 250,000 pounds, which would be, I'm not sure how many exactly cranberries that is. It's about 330 cranberries a pound, 250,000 pounds. It's a lot.
How long would it take you to harvest the ones that we're seeing here today?
Oh, this will only take us a couple hours. It doesn't take very long if everything goes okay. Stuff does break down.
Can you eat them fresh?
Yeah. I don't. They're not my favorite snack, but they're pretty tasty.
And then how deep is the bog?
Oh, along the edges here, it'll get up to my chest in the ditches, but most of the time it's about two and a half feet deep.
Can you harvest them in the rain?
Yep, we harvest in the wind and the rain. We try to harvest only on the nice days, but doesn't always plan out like that.
Do you turn them into juice?
Oh. Have we made juice before?
Yes.
Yeah. We have sold to people that make juice. A lot of our cranberries go to be crushed and made into pills though, for like vitamin C pills and stuff like that.
How do the cranberries get from the bog into the truck?
So there's a box under the water here that's creating a suction. They flow up through this pipe, through the water pump, and then right into the truck. there's a couple different ways. This is how we do it. There's an elevator, which is just, how do I describe it? Oh, it's just a machine that's got a wheel on it that turns like a conveyor, and it'll lift them out of the water. People do also dry harvest, and that's a lot more labor intensive way of doing it, but sometimes they get a little bit more money for it.
What is the person on top of the truck doing?
Oh, he's the boss. He's making sure that there's not a lot of garbage coming through the pump, and that the truck's gonna get moved when it's getting full.
And how cold is that water that you're in?
How cold is it?
Yeah.
Oh, it's pretty cold. If we weren't wearing these waders, it wouldn't be very enjoyable.
What is the life cycle for a cranberry?
So starting about March time frame, they'll start to form a little bud, and then throughout the spring, it'll open up into a flower, and late May or June, it'll start forming a little berry, and then all summer long we water it, fertilize, and then harvest in September till harvest around here is from about September until December, depending on the farm. So it's a pretty short cycle, and then there's about 3 or 4 months where the vine lies dormant during the winter and doesn't do anything.
Great, thank you. So we are to the point where we have one last question before we end this virtual field trip. And the last question is, what do you like most about being a cranberry grower?
The thing I'd have to say is it's kind of cool just knowing that you're growing a product that people really enjoy eating, and just doing it with family probably. It's a very family oriented business, and that's how we like to keep it.
Great. Well, thank you so much for your time and for sharing your farm with students across Oregon. And thank you, students, for being great participants of the